All right, folks. Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah? All right. I'll make sure the mic's the right distance. Well, gavel us in. Welcome to the July 23, 2025 meeting of the Tampa Heights Civic Association. My name is Rick Fernandez. It's my privilege to be president of the association. Just by way of introduction, we have a fairly full program tonight. Some of it was planned and has been planned for a while. Some of it is a little bit ad hoc because we have a handful of candidates here tonight that have been good enough to come visit with us for the District 5 Tampa City Council race. This is not intended to be a forum or even a pre-forum appearance, but they're here tonight and I am going to introduce them, call them out, give them an opportunity to come up here to the podium so that they're in Zoom frame, and give you guys a minute or so stump introduction, not a stump speech, a stump introduction. It'll be quick, but this is a race that's been described as a sprint, and it certainly is. There's not a lot of time between the starting gun and the finish. So these folks are running around ragged, trying to find as many places as possible to talk to voters right now. And my heart goes out to you. I know it's hard work. So to the extent we can offer that opportunity, we're going to do it tonight. And then we will have our general meeting in August, the 27th, that I'll speak more about later, that'll actually be a formal forum for the candidates that are still active at that time. So with that said, just a couple of things about Zoom. We are streaming live, so when the candidates come up here to speak, please be attentive to the fact that you're talking to two audiences. One is through this mic here, the other is through this little round gizmo on the podium. That'll pick you up for the Zoom attendees, and you will be in frame, and this will be recorded and will be made available to anybody that would like to see it later for recording purposes. Also, although we're not making Q&A available for the candidates at this point, there will be times during the course of the meeting later, especially when Justin Hall is up here at the podium from FDOT, that I imagine people will have some questions. And during the Q&A period, I just want to remind you again, we have a Zoom audience. So what I'm going to ask is, if you ask a question from the audience, try to be loud enough so maybe this mic will pick it up. 9 times out of 10, it won't. For the individual at the podium, Justin, mostly you, if you would please take the question and then summarize it as best you can for the audience off-site, and then go ahead and do your thing, all right? And if you forget, which you probably will because I do, I'll remind you, all right? So I appreciate that. Now, just quickly, some announcements. First of all, some of you, I know, were here at the meeting, I guess it was last month, when we had a preview of the city's comprehensive plan. City reps were kind enough to come and give us a little bit of a primer on what was being planned out and discussed. As was told to us then and has been repeated since at our board meeting, there is a District 5. We're District 5 for the city. Okay? If you didn't know that, that's why these District 5 candidates are here. The District 5 workshop for the city's comprehensive plan, and the section we're talking about here is future land use section of the plan. That workshop will be held at C. Blythe Andrews Public Library, East Martin Luther King, 2607 East Martin Luther King. That's August 6th. It starts at 6:15 and is scheduled to run until 8 p.m. So if you want to learn more about the comprehensive plan and have your input taken, that would be the time and the place to do it. Again, August 6th, 6:15 at Blythe Andrews. August 27th, that's our next Civic Association general meeting. That night, it's going to serve as the candidate forum for the District 5 City Council candidates. We are doing this in association with the League of Women Voters, and our moderator for the event will be Mitch Perry. Those of you who have been in the area for a while know Mitch. He's a well-known and I think well-respected journalist and has been following politics in this area, city, state, county, for at least 2 decades at this point. So I felt very fortunate that he was available to help us do that. The league will give us a brief presentation at the beginning of the meeting, just a little primer on the election, where it stands at that point in time. Then they will man a table in the back of the room for informational purposes and will be available for voters, citizens to go back there and get information about the election from the league while the event is actually unfolding here on the stage. The event is scheduled for August 27. In that sense, it is somewhat unique because of all of these events that have been planned. This is one that will take place after the qualification period has closed. So candidates that are not just filed, but actually qualified to be on the ballot will be up here on this stage that night. If anybody drops off, then maybe they'll be in the audience, but they won't be up here. So it's important to remember that. And I understand from what they told me today by Supervisor of Elections, I hope I got this right, that our event on the 27th is the day before the deadline to register if you want to get your vote by mail in. It's already too late by then to register to vote. You can vote in the October runoff, but by then it'll be too late to vote in the initial election, which is September 8th, 9th, September 9th. It'll be too late by then to register for vote for that round. But if it goes to runoff, you still will be able to register to vote at that point. So anyway, enough of that. Any questions about that? Okay. Again, August 27, same time, same place. Let's see. As I walked in, Jason Gonzalez, our management assistant, handed me some announcements. Let me read through these real quickly. Oh, yeah. We have interviewers in the back conference room, our board room. These are videographers from the University of South Florida. They're recording stories on flooding and other experiences during Hurricanes Helene and Milton. God bless them. They've been here since 5 o'clock this afternoon, hoping that some folks would wander in and tell stories, but I don't think we did a particularly good job of promoting it. So nobody came. So they've just been sitting around cooling their heels all afternoon. But they'll be here during our meeting, and they're sticking around for a while after the meeting. So if you have something you'd like to say, something that can be recorded and kept for time immemorial about these events, it'll take about 10 minutes. They'll sit you in a chair, mic you up, and let you tell your story. Then let's see. Our board meetings have a public comment time set aside on the agenda. Our next board meeting is August the 13th. Just remember, if you have something you want to share with us by way of public comment, you're welcome to do so. These meetings can be attended online via Zoom. You can also come to the meeting in person. You don't have a lot of time, but you can have some time. Depending on how many people are waiting, maybe a minute or two, 3 minutes max, but it'll give you an opportunity to talk to the board in a formal setting. Obviously, you can talk to us anytime that you catch us. We have an active business committee in place being chaired by Jana Davis and also our management assistant, Jason Gonzalez. Our business committee meetings will be held the first Wednesday of every month from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock via Zoom. Are we being evicted? What is this? If anybody's interested in being part of the business committee, please let us know. You can reach out to us on our website or via our email address, which is tampaheightscivicassociation at gmail.com. Again, tampaheightscivicassociation at gmail.com. Email us, let us know that you're interested in being involved on the business committee, and we'll get you hooked up with Jana. Our land use committee is chaired by Roger Grunka, who's sitting right here in the front. I believe still has co-chair Matt St. Green working with him, maybe. Okay, he's MIA maybe at the moment, but he's still out there. In any event, Roger and Matt have been trying to police that committee up. It's up and running. Those meetings are to be held the first Wednesday of each month from 10 to 12. I think those are also Zoom facilitated, as I recall. If you have interest in the Land Use Committee, again, let us know. Or if you have issues in the community that you think might be impacted by the jurisdiction of the Land Use Committee, let us know. You've got a notice in the yard next door, somebody is intending to build something that you think looks ugly and you want to fight it. Come talk to us about it. Maybe we can help you. Tour of homes. We haven't had one in a couple of years. We're looking at next year, April, sometime in the spring, probably April. We'd like to know if there are any volunteers to serve as chair or any homeowners who would be interested in participating in the tour of homes. We have a new marketing committee in place, chaired by Erin McKenna. I don't see Erin in the room. No. Erin is a member of our board, and this is a committee that we've just activated in the last couple of months, so it's just getting up and running. Again, marketing committee, if you're interested, reach out. I guess that'll do it. Okay. All right, that's said. Let's move to the candidates, if we might. I'm going to do this in the order that I happen to have it on my paper, so I'm not trying to show any preference for anyone, but Joanna Colbert is in the room, yes? Maybe, I don't know. I just think, yeah, if you would, come on up here. I think you're listed as Supervisor of Elections site second, and that's probably why. Yeah, so if you would, just introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanna Colbert. I don't want to spend this time because I only have 1 minute to talk about my experience. I'm more than qualified for this role as a council person. You can look that up. My background is in economic development. I've been on HOA boards. I'm on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. I have all of that on paper. But what I want to talk to you is about me personally. I was a 17-year-old mother. I graduated high school with a child. And I feel like I beat a lot of odds. I went to college. I bought my first home when I was 24, and I'm committed to doing the right thing, supporting myself and giving back to my community. My mother retired from the post office. She raised me to be a good person, to give back to my community and to be committed to my community. I'm not going to say all of these things that I can do because you don't really know until you get in the seat and to be honest of what you're able to accomplish. But my name is Joanna Colbert, and I would ask for your consideration for voting for me. Thank you.
Fran Tate. Take 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing tonight? Pretty good? It's awfully wet out there. I am Fran Tate. About 34 years ago, the United States Army assigned my family here. And in those 34 years, we've been serving. We looked around our community and we saw the need for a community safety watch, AKA crime watch group. So we organized a crime watch group. Then after that, we looked around the community and saw the need for a neighborhood association. We founded the Jackson Heights Neighborhood Association, tongue twister, and we've been serving. We have approximately 35 homeowners, families in our association, and we do projects around the community, serving the community because that's who we live and that's who we love. And we also partner with other neighborhood associations. Take, for instance, VM Ebor, paper pickup, picking up trash down there. Other neighborhood associations, Highland Pines, Grant Park, Live Oak. We go and we serve, we partner with everyone. I was elected as a CAC board member 4 years ago. And in the first 2 years, I served as chair. During my time as a chairwoman, the CDC was awarded $190,000 for infrastructure project. The tree trimming grant was funded $700,000. The Well Health Matters Pharmacy They desired to move from 50th Street to 40th Street. So they found an old nightclub, and we awarded them $350,000 to renovate that particular nightclub. The Skill Center was funded $450,000. The Youth Leadership and Entrepreneurship Academy was funded $75,000 a year for 2 years. And I haven't stopped. I am asking for your support. I am one of the candidates for City Council. I feel that I am very well qualified and capable of the position. I have a good relationship with the council members down there now. I attend council meetings, I attend CRA meetings, I attend school board meetings, and I attend commission meetings, advocating for my community. Thank you so very much. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you, Fran. Allison Hewitt?
Good afternoon. My name is Allison Hewitt. I'm a third generation East Tampa resident. So I'm born and raised here, graduate of Chamberlain High School. I have been in the government process since I was 16 years old. I have worked at the federal level, the state level, the county level, and the city level. And so I believe that experience makes me ready for this position. One thing I do want to bring up is tomorrow at the CRA meeting, the Tampa Heights CRP will be up for approval. And I want to make sure that they are keeping you informed of what that CRP does, because that will then govern all the economic development projects that will be happening in your neighborhood over the next few years. So please be aware of that CRP tomorrow at the City CRA meeting to be able to follow that and read that. So with that, I will keep all the rest of my comments for when we come here and present. But I am Allison Hewitt, a resident, experienced in government, asking for your vote.
Thank you. Naya Young. As Naya is working her way up here, did anybody else sneak in when I wasn't looking? No? Okay. Take it away.
Thank you, Rick. Good evening, everyone. Very excited to be here. Funny story, I actually work in this space, so I actually miss being here and seeing our kids in the summer program. So I get to, be in this space, so it feels really good. I'm running for City Council for District 5. This is an awesome journey. I've been fortunate enough to grow up in a family that has always said, you have to be ready when the torches pass. You have to be ready to, be there and continue to serve for your community. I've been working and serving my community since before I even knew that I was doing public service and community work. It's just a part of me. It's my core. It's who I am. I care about people. I care about this community. I care about our children. I care about homelessness. I care about, people having good paying jobs and having somewhere to live. So, it's just the next step in my journey to continue to help our communities and continue to provide for people. And I hope that I will have your vote on September 9th. If you don't remember, Naya Young, I am the last name on the ballot. Thank you.
Good night. Okay, last call. Anybody else running? It's not too late, We only got 12. Okay. All right. So with that said, I think we're ready to move on to the program. Justin, are you good to go? Okay. It's my pleasure, and I say that from the heart, honestly. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Justin Hall. And I actually have his bio here, and I'm going to take a moment to just kind of read through it a little bit. Not all of it, but some. Justin is the district secretary of FDOT's District 7 headquartered here in Tampa, Florida. As district secretary, Justin provides administrative oversight for the planning, development, and operations for all transportation modes within the within District 7's 5 counties. Those are Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas. District 7's work program is $5.6 billion, which supports 3.4 million residents and drivers that travel more than 40 million miles in the Tampa Bay area each day. Now that's the stuff that DOT gives me when I ask for a bio. And I think all of it is pretty much true. There's a lot more to this, gentleman, though, and I'll get into that on a personal level in a moment. Previously, Justin served as a key member of District 7's leadership team, as a director of transportation development, and in several other roles. He is a graduate of the University of South Florida, where he earned a master's of business administration, and he resides in Plant City with his family. Also importantly, although this is not on the bio, but very importantly from the perspective of this association and this neighborhood, as Secretary, District 7, Justin sits, and I assume will continue to, sits on the TPO board, not as a voting member, that's the Transportation Planning Organization Board. As a non-voting member, he's an advisor. His predecessor, David Gwynn, was there at every meeting, and at almost every meeting had various and sundry opinions to share with the board, many of whom were accepted hook, line, and sinker. I mean, he was very instrumental in many of the decisions the TPO board made over the time of his tenure. And I assume that same type of relationship will continue. Justin, for most of those meetings, was sitting right at the right hand of David Gwynn, and often would take the mic and would complete the presentations that David introduced. So he's been part of this DOT Tampa Heights urban core saga that has been playing out now for the better part of 10 years, going back to 2015. I don't remember exactly when it is you swooped in, when it is that I first met you, but it does seem like a lifetime ago. I don't think it was from day one, but it's been a while. And what I do want to say is that although we have been, I'll say, adversaries for much of that time, I have never felt that Justin was an enemy. He's never told me a lie, at least not that I caught you in. He's never told me a lie. I may not have liked what he had to tell me sometimes, but he told me straight, and I appreciated that. And I look forward to that relationship continuing and growing over time. We have a lot going on in this area, compliments of the DOT. They're going to be part of our lives for years to come. And this gentleman is going to help to navigate that ship. So welcome him, please. And Justin, all yours. Yeah, remember, you're in frame here.
All right, cool. I'm gonna try and stay near the puck, and hopefully I can just put this in here. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm pretty loud, so I always said I'd never be able to be a ninja. I'm not quiet enough for that. All right. Well, first off, thanks for having me out here tonight. I'm impressed with the candidates. Just to be quite frank, you said there's 12, 4 showed up, so impressed with the 4 that showed up. I don't think there's any greater role, duty in America than to be a part of the political process and give back to your community. So hats off to you for throwing your name in the ring, no matter what the result is. So my name's Justin Hall. Rick introduced me, and I'll tell you, I say I was part of the second team on TV Next. So there was kind of the first team, and I like to believe I was part of the second team, which really was trying to change the narrative and try and be more participative. Wow, I don't want to say that word. Be more engaged in the community. So I'm just going to skip that word altogether. Like you said, I am from Plant City, so I'm a little bit of an outsider in Tampa, but what I tell everybody is I'm from a really tight-knit community, so I like to be a part of tight-knit communities. So anytime I can be in a space where I'm working with the community, I'm happy. So I'm always happy with people. Who's controlling the slideshow? You got it? All right, next slide. So I'm going to be quite frank and honest. As Rick said, I never lied to him. I don't lie to anybody. I have not seen the slideshow. So we're experiencing this together, okay? And I'm going to do my best to navigate through it, and I will answer any questions you have. This is kind of an interesting project, the Waterworks Sidewalk Gap Improvement. This actually originated from a comment from Tony Kroll coming out of a meeting here. He brought up that he thought there should be a connection adjacent to the interstate and connect along the ramp there at Ashley and connect eventually over to Waterworks Park. So we actually closed these sidewalk gaps working with the city of Tampa, and that was an idea that originated in a meeting here. So just kind of a cool thing. Next slide. Highland Avenue repaving. Really this is a maintenance project for us. So anytime you see us out paving, we're really just trying to improve the overall pavement condition, also working with business owners and all on driveways, things of that nature, and addressing ADA concerns either at crosswalks or on the sidewalks. There was some minor drainage work, but I think I have a slide later, hopefully on Tampa, Florida Tampa, so we can talk more about drainage later, because I know that's a big concern in this area. And there is a current lane closure there, southbound Highland Avenue. And if you have any other questions on that, I got my construction team here that can talk about that. Construction's anticipated to be completed later this year. Next slide. Bikeways along Central and Ola. I know that these have been I don't want to say controversial, because I don't like that word, but we've gotten conflicting opinions on these projects. Some people like it, some people don't like it. This was really a project that was born from a larger study that was done of this entire area, included Florida and Tampa, and it was called the Tampa Heights Mobility Network, and then it kind of grew even larger, and it became a Tampa Mobility Network. So anyway, these bikeways were intended to be safe bike paths off of the main roads. That was the intention. We've gotten some feedback from the community on the bulb outs and whether we could paint them and things of that nature, which we plan to do. That was feedback that actually came from a meeting here that I was at the Civic Association. And really, like I said, the key here is trying to make a safer network for bicyclists and pedestrians on a slower speed road. Next slide. Central Avenue improvements. This is another one of the bikeways, kind of part of the same deal. This one I got even more feedback from when we were here. This is also another one where there's some conversations about the bulb outs and painting them, making them look a little bit more attractive. There was a back and forth over a signal, whether it be a signal or a four-way stop. And just so everyone's aware, both of the previous project and this one were developed with the city of Tampa. So the plan was to put the signal in based on the city of Tampa's request. It sounded like there was some feedback from the community. They prefer a four-way stop. So, we kind of pivoted and I think now we're in flashing red, I believe, right? So anyway, so just to talk about that, and then a few other four-way stops and safety improvements. Next slide. How do you want to do it, Rick? You want to do questions as I go? Or you want to do questions at the end? How do you want to do it? All right, sounds good. I'll keep rolling. So a little bit more detail on the Ola Avenue bikeway improvements. So on-street bikeway, signalization, speed cushions, which really are just for traffic calming. And then you can see there's some other improvements, a four-way stop at Ola and Osborne and Highland and Lambright. So really, I mean, this is just continuing on that same theme of trying to create more bike ped connectivity and lower volume facilities. And when I say lower volume, I mean less traffic. Sorry, I don't want to DOT speak. All right, Tampa Street, Florida Avenue. We won actually a federal grant for this during the previous administration. The goal really out there was to not only resurface the roadway, but also to work on some of the issues, common issues, some of the flooding issues, and also the transit improvements that are needed out there. As many of you have heard and known for years, there's been a BRT project that HART has been preparing for a long time, as well as a streetcar extension. And so these projects kind of set the stage for that. So we're rebuilding the asphalt, modifying the curbs, things of that nature, that whenever those transit projects come in, that work's already done. So you'll see some curbs being reset, some sidewalks being widened when this project gets underway. And then, of course, resurfacing the roadway. Next slide. And you guys put a lot in this slideshow. I guess it just means we got a lot going on. So here's just a highlight of a few US 41, Business 41 pedestrian features. So you can see new pedestrian crossings. There's quite a few. Florida Avenue at 26, K Street, Tampa at Fortune, Tampa at Estelle, Tampa at Woodlawn, and Tampa, Indiana. And then you can see they're all the different curb modifications, which that simply means we're making it ADA compliant at the curb. So instead of having either like a really steep drop off at the curb or if we don't have either the oh gosh, the truncated domes, which are needed for visually impaired pedestrians. So anyway, just making sure that we're bringing it up to ADA code, which, as you can imagine, in Tampa, a lot of the infrastructure is older, so there's quite a bit of this that needs to be done. And generally, these improvements set the stage for other pedestrian improvements down the line. All right, next slide. So this just shows you a little bit about the Tampa Street and Florida Avenue improvements. You can kind of see, we call these typical sections. Really, it just means it's kind of a cross section of what the road will look like. The proposed improvements there, you can see Tampa Street from Jackson to Tyler, kind of as you're working your way north. So you have the parking, on-street parking, bike lane, travel lanes. As you're kind of moving north, you lose the one bike lane from Tyler, or the one parking lane from Tyler to 7th. And then you pick up the, is that a bike lane, painted bike lane? From 7th to Florida, Nebraska. And then you'll see there on Florida, from Kennedy to Harrison, you have the on-street parking. And then when you get further north, you've got a wider sidewalk. And then you see there the 5-foot bike lane, which that also helps with the ADA for the transit. So just kind of setting the stage for it. Keep going, man. You guys really are putting me to the test here. Tampa Street from Florida, Nebraska to 26th, and then Woodlawn to MLK. You see there's a 7-foot buffer bike lane and the sidewalk. And you'll know, I mean, everyone knows out here the sidewalks, it's hard to fit it in and get as much as you can in there because there's historic utilities and all in the middle of the sidewalk. So really just trying to widen it where we can and fit it where we can. Tampa Street from 26th to Woodlawn there, you'll see that continued wider sidewalks, the continued buffered bike lane, and the 10-foot wide travel lanes, which if you just kind of, I'm going to take a step away from this. So our standard lane widths are 12-foot, 11-foot, 10-foot. 10-foot generally you'll see more in the city, especially in areas where we want people to travel slower. The closer you are to the car next to you, you tend to drive a little bit slower. You get on the interstate, you got a 12-foot lane, everybody feels more comfortable, everybody moves a little faster. So there's a lot of, there's some psychology there in lane width. So if you ever hear us come talk to you about a project in the future, if you're concerned about safety, that's a good conversation to have about lane widths. When you get into Florida Avenue, Florida from Palm to 26 there, you'll see still 10-foot wide lanes, the buffered bike lane and the sidewalk, and then the same thing, 26 to MLK there. So 3 10-foot travel lanes and then the buffered bike lane and the sidewalk. And I think the only variations there are the width of the buffered bike lane because we're trying to work inside the curb. So there's some more wider areas, some areas narrower in others. So just trying to do the best we can to fit what we can without taking a lane. All right, next slide. All right, downtown interchange. It's been kind of quiet lately, you know, right? A little quiet lately. Noise is coming back. I don't want to be I can't sit here and be like, this is how quiet it's going to be until the end of the job. But obviously we continue to work on the downtown interchange, making the improvements out there. You'll see some work on the MSE walls. I saw it actually right back behind us. Biggest thing here is I've got our project team. If you have any concerns during construction, if you see anything that's not right, like Lena will tell you, just contact us. Like Jim or one of our other team members will come out there and meet with you, talk with you, take a look at what the concern is and see what we can do to help. You know, I know that we're a little bit of a rowdy neighbor, but hopefully we're not a bad neighbor. So anyway, just a little bit more about the DTI. So it's a $200 million project. It began in 2023 and we're expected to complete it in 2027. And there's adding lanes and doing some other modifications to the interchange to prevent some of the crashes we've seen in the past. And if you see the project to the north, the 275 project just finished, we kind of set the stage for the downtown interchange. You know, you can get in the outside lane and stay in it. Next slide. So here's just a little bit more on the work activity. So like I talked about, that's an MSE wall that I was referring to. So if you see anything like that, those panels, that's what they're doing. That's an MSE wall is what we call it. You see there's some of the percentages. I'm not going to read down the whole list. I'm not a big fan of just reading slides, but you'll see there that really the drainage installation, we're kind of in the early stages of that. There was a lot of old storm drains out there, some that were not, had either collapsed or were failing. So just kind of getting in there. Utility relocation, you see we're almost done with that. 60% MSE walls, so pretty good progress. And then 100% of the barrier walls are installed. Fiber optics, bridge beams, that's a good thing too, that we're wrapped up with that. All right, next slide. This is just an aerial, but I don't know if you guys really need an aerial because you see it, but this is an aerial of the kind of the construction going on in the area. And we are working in all three segments of this project. So in our line of work, this is really impressive to do this work in the middle of an urban interchange, just because there's a lot going on and trying to minimize traffic disruptions as much as possible. I can tell you it's a constant effort, as we know, because the contractors would ideally love to just shut the interstate down and do the work, but working with them to keep it open, keep it safe, and keep them working.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're okay. You're okay.
Just orient folks to what we're looking at.
Yes, sir. So the 275 shield, where you see it kind of in the top corner there, that is coming from the North Tampa, Pasco area coming south. You'll see there's a big ramp, a big curved ramp there. You kind of come down from the 275 shield. Right.
There you go.
You see there, that's the existing connection between 275 southbound and I-4 eastbound. If you look just inside of that, you'll see some earth being created there. That's the new bridge, the new 2-lane bridge going from 275 south to I-4. One thing we're trying to actively solve with this is to have a direct connect to the Selman Expressway, because one of the things we're seeing traffic pattern wise is that there's a weave. You're either trying to go on I-4, you're trying to get off of I-4, or you're trying to go to Selman. So the getting off of I-4, we're solving with this project, because this original flyover bridge you see there now will become the exit to Ybor. So the traffic that's going southbound on 275 that wants to get to Ybor, now they will stay on that bridge, so that you don't have to worry about them in the weave. If we can get the traffic going to the Selman Expressway separated, then that's one less movement we've got in the weave, which is really what we're trying to accomplish, is stop that. In the right hand side, you kind of see like some earth being disturbed just south of I-4 there. That's where they're setting up to receive the bridge from that other approach you see over there. And then obviously over in the quadrant there in the corner, we see all the dirt being moved. That's a future pond, and that's actually where we're borrowing material to build the new bridge approaches. So sourcing the dirt locally and repurposing that for a pond, and there'll be some aesthetic improvements around that pond. So it's more of a community feature than your like traditional DOT pond that's fenced and circle and not very inviting. Missing anything? Anything else you want me to cover? Okay, okay. Yeah, so this is the DTI, malfunction junction, a lot of people like to call it. In fact, I grew up, that's what we called it. And every time my dad was like, we gotta go through malfunction junction. So it's, yes, yes. So if we can work it out, which we're trying to right now, you'd have the new bridge coming through with 2 lanes. That lane that would be closest to the middle of the interchange would access the Selma Expressway. So if you were in that lane, you could either go straight onto the Selma Expressway or go straight and stay on I-4. So you'd have a choice. And there would be signage, if we do that, there'd be signage back on 275 to say, hey, this lane gives you the option of I-4 or the Selman. This lane is I-4 only. So you can make that decision earlier, which lane you need to be in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Going east. Yep. Oh, okay. Next slide. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of a unique perspective, because you can see a bridge approach for Palm Avenue there. You can cut right there at Palm Avenue. You can see kind of the dirt and then on the other side, you can see where the piles are driven. So it's kind of a unique perspective here from the aerial to be able to see the work from above. Yep. I feel like they may have been intentional. Yeah. All right, next slide. Oh yeah, so this is kind of working you through. So now kind of in the center of the picture there, you'll see what I was talking about, where they're working to build the structure to receive that bridge that's coming from the southbound direction. So they'll come right there in the middle, and they'll bridge Nebraska and also the additional structure. All right, next slide. All right, I-275 landscape improvement. So this is a standalone project. So just a little history, just got like everyone to kind of know what I know. We used to do landscaping inside of a construction project. Like we used to do it at the same time. The problem was a lot of times your roadway construction contractor is not a landscaper. So they put the landscaping in and then you're like, okay, we need you to warranty this landscape, like come back and fix it. And they're like, it's not really what we do. So it was easier for us to separate it out and say, okay, as soon as construction's over, landscape architect come in, landscape contractor come in, plant the landscaping, they do the warranty for the plants and landscaping. So you can see there just a couple preliminary concepts there at I-275 in Hillsborough. And really this is consistent with kind of the theme we've been using lately, Florida friendly, drought resistant, kind of getting away from the palm trees and some of the plants from out of the area that just don't do so well here. And for those that say you can't get colorful Florida friendly plants, there's a lot of them. So it's not true. All right. So here's a few more you can see there. Kind of, this is a preliminary concept along Elmore at Robles. This is a conversation we've had a lot with the city of Tampa about maybe one day expanding that landscaping across that road. Maybe we can get rid of that circulation on the backside, which I'm still here for that conversation whenever the city's wants to do it. Then you can see the preliminary concept along Talaferro, south of Emily Street. So kind of to see coniferous trees, Florida friendly. And then Talaferro there, we're south of Lake Avenue, some pines, and it looks like, I'm gonna guess crepe myrtles. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm guessing that's some different pines and crepe myrtles. Next slide. And then a safety message. Really the biggest thing is don't drive distracted. I mean, that's the, I have people talk to me all the time about the accidents and incidents on the interstate and on the highways. And I can tell you, I don't know the exact percentage of the lion's share come back to distracted or impaired. And unfortunately, the wrong way driving crashes a lot of times are distracted and impaired because we now have cameras so we can see. So a lot of times it's someone that's intoxicated and distracted, which is, all right. We keep rolling. We keep rolling. We have a safety message in the middle and we keep rolling. All right, man, they're trying to like keep me on my toes here, man. They're trying to keep me on my toes. Yeah, I-275 corridor from north of Hillsborough to south of Bear. So this would really be the next segment of 275 widening whenever that occurs. So design phase, it says design phase is resuming. Really, what we're trying to do is kind of keep up with the modern design standards on that. There's no construction funded for that. And there's no, this is something Rick and I talked about before, semantics. So I'm trying to get it right. We do not need to buy any additional right of way. That doesn't mean that when this is constructed that walls won't move closer to the community, but I don't need to buy any additional property. So just kind of shows you. And then next slide, do we do the Bears interchange? Maybe, no, maybe.
I think we just have these Justin.
Oh yeah, another safety message. All right, cool. Okay, well, cool. Well, I talked about it, so
In case it came.
luckily I'm ready for the test. Do you have any other slides, or is that it? Okay, cool. So you guys just threw me one right after the safety message. Really, just keep me on my toes. Got it. Okay. All right. Questions?
For speculating, the 2 lanes on that exit ramp on 275 was fantastic because it's near to get 275 out. I am concerned, I live in Tampa Heights, not too far from here. And well intentioned, traffic calming, pedestrian bike lanes is great. But at the same time, there's a consequence to that. What I've seen is people, there's so much congestion now, especially on Park and Tampa, I'm sorry, and Tampa and Florida. People are coming across the side streets in the neighborhood. They're trying to miss the light, going a little faster, makes it unsafe for the kids that are kind of playing in the neighborhood. And is there any consideration to kind of take a step back, see what you've done, and is there any potential to modify it, doing some of what was done to make it a little more streamlined? Doing a lot of development in this area, and if the roads are getting smaller, more congestion, more traffic, as I'm sure that's the best.
Yes, sir. So the question was around some of the modifications that we've done already to the road, the impact to overall traffic, and whether we either A, would be willing to modify it based on what we see, or are there other improvements that could help with traffic, right? So the short answer is we go back and look at all of our projects for operation. I can tell you we've had a lot of conversations around the traffic calming in the neighborhood, and we're watching it, and the city of Tampa is watching it. If it's deemed at some point that it's causing a greater safety concern, it's nothing that can't be reversed. More what we would probably look at before doing that would be, do we need to change signal timings? Do we need to make some other adjustments? Is there something else that's causing the problem, not necessarily the traffic calming? But to answer your question, I guess it's yes to both. There are options. It could be reversed, and there are other improvements. And I can tell you we are actively monitoring that because we've gotten a lot of calls. I know the city's gotten a lot of calls. So we are watching that. Yeah.
Cool.
Fair enough.
But just to lead on.
Yeah, so good question. The question was kind of tying into the last conversation. Are we looking at the signals on Palm, Tampa, and Florida? And the answer is yes. And that's why I brought it up, because I know that's one thing right now we are doing, actively talking about. So, and it's funny, signals are kind of like a weird thing where like you touch one and then you got to touch the next one, and then you got to touch the next one, and then next thing you know, you're adjusting the whole grid. But anyway, yes, we are looking at that, and that's the way it goes. Next thing you know, we'll adjust all the signal timings in Tampa. But
Right. Several points. I noticed that on recently constructed, reconstructed 275 stretch up to slide.
yes, sir.
The sound barriers go up and down like a wave. What was the decision on that? Why something high and something low?
Okay. So the question was about the sound walls along 275 to the north and why some are at different elevations. So there's two answers to that. So some of it is they're the same height and just they're following the profile of the road. So some of that gives you a little bit of effect. Some are noise walls, some are perimeter walls. Also, some are standalone walls, and some are actually mounted to the barrier wall. So you get slight difference in variation in heights. I don't know if anyone wants to give anything more detailed than that.
Say noise. Any results of studies. Basically, we need to deflect this many decibels of noise, so we need 8 foot wall. Other locations you might need 14 foot wall.
Yeah. So to further summarize, just for everyone online, to further summarize, it's the height sometimes it varies based on the decibels we're trying to deflect. Yes, sir.
The new wall portion of the smoke of the diesel stacks on the tractor trailers are above the wall. So not only is the noise being projected over the wall, but also all the fumes that are.
You have to look and see, because I think those are 10-foot barrier on top of the. So yeah. Okay.
The other thing is back braking.
Yeah, Jake braking, engine braking, yes. Yeah. So, okay, so the question was, why don't we outlaw Jake braking or engine braking? That's actually a local ordinance. So you've seen that in some other areas. That's actually a local ordinance that we just enforce on our road. So that's not a DOT enforcement. That's a local, like a city ordinance that says no machine braking inside city limits. And then we just place this stuff. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a city ordinance.
I understand it's so complicated. But are you working with something, not the highways so much as let's say the intersection of Florida and Columbus? Are you working with zoning to like a city planning? Or are you just focusing on
No. So the question was, do we participate or focus on city planning and zoning, or do we only do in our own environment? So the answer is we do work with city planning and zoning. In fact, a lot of times we're a signature that's required for you when you're getting something, when you're rezoning something or redeveloping a parcel. So yes, we are a part of that process. We have a whole team that's what they do. And oftentimes a redevelopment, rezoning, anything like that also requires a permit to either put a driveway on our road, access our road, put drainage into our facility, anything like that. It has to be reviewed by us. So to answer your question, yeah, and one step further, there's a model that's used for traffic, and all the counties actually input their data into that model that we manage, which is a regional traffic model. So it includes all of that, all the redevelopments, things of that nature. And there's a lot, especially in Pasco. There's a lot going on.
Aaron?
Hey. I'm gonna phone a friend.
Okay.
Spring. Okay, so the question was, when's the completion of Central Ave, and it's spring of 2026.
Oh.
Mhm.
Why not?
Okay, so the question was, I said Florida and Tampa without taking the lane. The question was, why not take a lane? Okay, so I'll tell you twofold. One, it kind of plays into the conversation that he just had, asking about signal timing. So Florida and Tampa operate at peak at capacity. So taking a lane would cause a lot more traffic to divert. The second part, though, is you need to maintain that lane for the streetcar. So in the future streetcar, it actually would operate in that lane. So if I bring the curb in, then streetcar couldn't operate. So.
Just two questions. Florida Avenue on this, there are some tables, cushions, or something that were planned. Are those still planned?
On Florida Avenue?
I'm sorry, Central.
Central between, okay. So the question was on Central Avenue about some locations of some speed cushions, and the answer is yes, they're still planned.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. It's similar to a speed bump, not quite as aggressive. So the question was, what is a speed cushion? Yeah, imagine a speed bump in half and a little flatter. Yeah, I don't know. Are there any on Central built yet? I didn't think so.
The white thing there is you mentioned vegetation buffer, which at the last meeting, public meeting, display I'm talking about it. And I believe at the time that was just going to be painted line, a little bit of width between two painted lines. There was discussion, me at least, there about adding something more, concrete and some of the raised pillars or something, kind of get more than just painting. What is the final plan for that?
Okay, so the question was on Florida and Tampa with the bike lanes, the buffer. Is it just paint or is it a physical separation? So the answer is, is there the ability to put physical separation between bike lanes and travel lanes? Yes, it's been done in the past. The problem is out there, we don't have a lot of space to work with. And so if I do that, then I'm restricting my bike lane to a few feet. So the answer is the buffer, when we refer to a buffer there, that is a striped buffer. It's just space. Yeah, I mean, there's follow that. So there's 8-inch wide buffer. I mean, but it's still, I mean, even when you're talking about there's a one segment, I think we have a 4-foot bike lane. When you're talking about a 4-foot bike lane, if I put an 8-inch curb in, and by the time when you get down to it, you're talking about 3 feet, and that gets pretty tight for a bike lane. It's better honestly not to do that, because traffic gets a lot more comfortable when you put a physical separation in. when it's that small. If it was a bigger separation, like on the cycle track or anything like that, I would completely agree with you. But the driver behavior doesn't reflect what you think you're going to get. Now, if you had a 8 or 9 foot wide bike lane and you start talking about putting in like a 34 or 36 inch separation between them, I would agree that that's a huge safety improvement. And and just, this is my just like candid nature. I would rather have a conversation about moving the curb in and putting the bikes up behind the curb on the same level as the sidewalk than I would putting a curb adjacent to a 4 foot wide bike lane. Personally, that would be my personal preference.
As opposed to the curb.
No, because you're same dimensions. I mean, you're still talking about you're going to lose about a foot. I mean, it's the same dimension. And then
As far.
Mhm.
There must be.
The problem though is I have to have separation between if I add a curb, I have to have separation. So then my lines have to move out because I can't put the line on the physical separation. So if let's say I have 2 stripes separated by 6 inches, I can't put a 6-inch curb in between them and keep the lines there. The lines have to move out by adding the 6 inch. It can't be edge to edge. And that's just a design standard. And that's MUTCD. That's across not just our state, every state in the United States. But I mean, like I said, the conversation I'd rather have would be, do you put the bikes up on equal footing to the pedestrians? But that introduces a different challenge as a cyclist. Like, you're competing with pedestrian traffic, which isn't ideal for either user.
Yeah.
Two questions. One is, we had all of that flooding for the hurricane. And we had the city did all that happened last week. However, the Department of Transportation, it was a city meeting. You all were not there to talk about the impact of the expansion of the roads and how in that basin that sit over there, how all that water affects us on that side. So that's one question. And then my next question is, I heard you mention Indiana. So Tampa and Indiana.
Okay.
Tampa and Indiana. So at Florida and Indiana, where the new local apartment development is happening, that street does not go straight through from Central.
Okay.
No, that's Lake. Lake does not go straight across. We have had some conversation before that if there was a way to get those kids better online, because there's going to be 1,800 units that will be developed, and getting people to cross that street more safely, getting it more online, we think that help the possible safety over there.
Okay. All right, so 2 questions. So I'm going to answer the second one first. So the second one was about the pedestrian crossing near Lake Avenue in Indiana, and can we harmonize it based on the development? I'm going to look to my folks and we'll follow up on that. I honestly, moving the crosswalk or the crossing, as long as we have the right of way we need and all to put the signal in and do all that stuff without impacting anybody. I mean, they can move. It's not set in stone. The biggest thing is just making sure we have the ability to actually put it where you want to put it, but we can take a look at that. The first question, I'll come back to the first question, the flooding conversation, that was a big topic. And yes, I know City of Tampa had a meeting. The reason why they don't include us in those is because our drainage system along the interstate is a closed system. So we're actually capturing all of our water. There was some discussion after the storm about concern that some of our water ended up in the Robles Park Pond, which we mapped the drainage system to show them. Like we're not, the only thing that happened there was during construction. There's a drain on the east side. I believe it's on Talaferro. The contractor did they plug it or it got plugged by something debris? Which yeah, but that's not due to the actual interstate. That was more like the contractor's activities on Talaferro. So that water was traveling under the interstate just from Talaferro to the Robles Park pond. So none of our drainage, like our pipes, anything on the interstate, go to that pond or any of the other ponds other than what we're building. So the water will all go to the pond that I was talking about is going to be built in the northeast quadrant, and then the pond that we're going to build over here. So all the water on our system is controlled and put in those locations. I'll tell you, so one more thing though about that. The reason why that's important is because we design our ponds for the high storm events. So I can tell you just from experience, last hurricane, we drove and looked at our entire drainage network for ponds. Did any of our ponds overtop or anything like that? And we had one pond overtop, and the pond overtop because the drainage grate was clogged, not because of capacity. So our system actually does a really good job of processing the water and capturing it. And that's why a lot of times like the EMS, fire, et cetera, they rely on us to keep our system as dry as quickly as possible. But yeah, I know there's a mess over here, and I've had some conversations with the city if we could help them. But, you know, just kind of waiting to hear back what we could do to help them out. Because, yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Or what happened in Robles Park.
Mm.
And so.
Yeah.
City of Tampa couldn't do it.
Yeah. So anyway, we continue to engage in the city of Tampa, not just here, but all throughout the city on how we can help.
Yes, sir. So the first half was about bicycle lane, and then the second half was about the function junction. On the bicycle lanes, is Florida Department of Transportation ever thought of changing that to low-speed vehicles? A lot of scooters that use those lanes, a lot of bicycles, a lot of golf carts.
So, yeah, so the question is, has the FDOT ever considered allowing low-speed vehicles, golf carts, scooters, et cetera, to use bike lanes, things of that nature? So the answer is that has been discussed and debated even by the legislature. And to be honest with you, the interactions between a low-speed vehicle and even a cyclist is not a good situation. So in general, we want to keep them separated. And now inevitably, like the university students rent an e-bike and, you know, they're riding down the bike lane. It's up to the local PD to enforce that. Like we don't have an enforcement wing, but yeah, and you don't want to mix those two. Just as someone who's seen some of the negative interactions, crashes between either cyclists and pedestrians and even the low speed vehicles, it's not good. Like it's a bad situation. I wouldn't say comparable to a vehicle interaction, but pretty close. Like I've seen some, especially up in Pasco, where they're allowing a lot more golf carts, and even down in Sun City Center area where they allow a lot more golf carts. We're seeing a lot more of those crashes between pedestrians and cyclists and the golf carts, and they're not good. I mean, there's been a few fatalities and some really bad injuries from that. So I'm just being honest. I wouldn't be a fan of that personally. If I was ever asked, I would not be a fan of that.
Space minimization.
Sure. Yeah, so the question was, has there been any conversation about utilizing the space under the interstate between roads? So the answer is yes. I had a meeting, probably about a month ago with the Downtown Tampa Partnership, talking about some activation. I've heard conversations everywhere between pickleball to just community meeting space to skate park. I mean, kind of hear a little bit of everything. And our opinion on that and what we've always said is like, we're open to the conversation. We're not against it. If you can activate the space and do something great for the community, we support that. But at the same time, like we're just not really in the business of that. Like that's not. And so we've kind of challenged the Downtown Tampa Partnership to come up with something to use the space for. Because right now a lot of it's parking that goes unused. or it's just empty space that just goes unused, and it's a lot of mowing and litter collection and things like that. So from our perspective, if it actually, if something happened and there was more engagement, more activity, whatever, that's a better thing for us because we spend a lot of money on litter collection and mowing and, weed eating in those kind of areas. So definitely supportive of it. So if you got a good idea, I'll hear you out.
Nicole, you found some more dry powder.
Okay, so the first we didn't really talk about this. The Greenway Trail, this is not my question, so sorry. The Greenway Trail extension to Columbus, is there a plan for that still? It stops right now at Amelia, and it would be like another 2 blocks north of Columbus, is that?
Greenway.
Oh, okay, sorry. The Tampa Heights Greenway?
Yeah.
Sorry, I get green spine, green artery, so just bear with, sorry. I'm not that old, but I got a lot of projects in my head. To answer your question, no, there has not. So the question was, has there been any conversation about extending the Tampa Heights Greenway further to the north? The answer is no. At one point there was conversations about that, but when we went to the kind of the reduced footprint, when we kind of stopped buying right away, did things of that nature, we don't really have the space to do that. There's some areas where, yeah, there's the space. There's some areas where there's not. And, we generally don't go out and buy right away for trail connectivity. But I will tell you, we're doing a ton of trail connectivity. If you look at what we are building, is it on that graphic? Are the trails shown on that graphic or no? If not, okay, I will get a graphic to Rick with the trail connectivity because I think that's a big thing to show. We've built it to where we connect to the green spine, the green artery, to the Riverwalk, and to the Tampa Heights Greenway. So we're kind of tying everything together. But as far as carrying that any further north, no. Okay, so if you want to look there, but I also will still send something, a separate figure to be shared. Yeah. Okay,
Not mine.
that's fine.
The one is there's an opening, say, city side between Francis and Amelia, where dump trucks and the lane trucks and all that are accessing the highway. And one part of that question is that second segment of fencing is just open. Like it's just wide open. All the time. And the second part of that is that those dump trucks are flying down Central, flying down Amelia, flying down Francis. These are these are small streets.
Sure.
Hitting our curbs, that kind of stuff.
So the question is about dump trucks, speed, access to the interstate off local streets. So the answer is we can definitely talk to the contractor about the speed. And we can also talk to them about the locking the gates. I will tell you, I mean, just being candid, that is a reoccurring conversation. So you have a conversation with them. They do a really good job at it for a while. They get a little lazy. You got to go back and be like, come on, guys, like keep the gates closed. Because obviously for them, they see it as efficiency, right? If it's open and we can move, like we can move. But we can have that conversation with them. I will tell you the contractor is very engaged. So I'm not worried about that being a difficult conversation. So yeah, if we talk to them about it, they will address it. Yeah. Yeah, so the question was about tree protection. It's kind of hard to answer that without knowing specifically where, because I know that we do a tree study before we start for not only where we're working, but kind of the access, MOT, et cetera. So I would kind of need to know like what area. I'll take that feedback if you get it to Rick. I mean, I'll take that feedback and we go look at it. But I can tell you we're pretty adamant about them protecting the trees, and there were a few trees we had to remove as part of the project, and so that's why you'll see we're putting a lot of trees back with the landscaping and not putting pine or palm trees back, like putting actual trees you'd want in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay, before we go, it's 8:15. Trying to keep an eye on getting folks out of here by 8:30, and also we've still got the photojournalists back there in the boardroom who are hoping somebody will go back there and tell them a horror story about the hurricane and their experience. I want to be respectful of them too. If there's anyone here in the audience that intends to go talk to the videographers, you peel off and go do that now, right? So they get to go home and have a drink. Otherwise, we'll go until 8:30, until the questions stop, whoever comes first. Is there somebody that has not asked a question? Sir, you haven't asked a question. Yeah.
So much questions once a week.
Yeah.
Work with DOTs across the country, and not all of them can do that. For you to go through the slides and go into a level of detail or not even see the slide before, it's really impressive. It just shows how much you care about the community. So,
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Make sure that they're comfortable.
Yeah. Well, you didn't ask a question about the extending the community garden. I thought you were going to hit me with that, but yeah, you're good. We're still working on that, so you're good.
Yeah, I have two hands up. Both of you are multi-question. So Roger, one question, Roger, not 5 points. One question.
What's the question? It's not a question. It's an observation. You did say that the runoff from the highway is not going to go this far. And I believe that's all along the road. However, on Elmore, the embankment itself, there's like a 12-foot wall, and then there's an embankment up to the sound barrier. That embankment is not landscaped in such a way to contain or absorb the runoff from a regular rainstorm. Thus, you can, from my home, I can stand out on the porch and see the water cascading down the wall into the street. And this should be, I mean, if you look at the photographs of the Andes, when indigenous people have terraced or planted things,
Mhm.
so you need to take into consideration just the embankment itself.
Yeah, you're referring further to the south.
Yeah.
So the conversation was on Elmore. There's like a terrace section. Yeah. Sure. So, I mean, we do have terrace landscaping on the DOT system, like further north on 275, we've got it. I-75 Fowler, we've got it. I-75, 50 and 52. So we do that. Now, I don't know exactly what the situation is right there with that slope as to whether what I can or can't do, but I can ask our landscape architect if we could do something there.
That's at Elmore.
Yeah, Elmore and Columbus, yeah, the southern side. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I've got a question.
All right.
There's now a walkway, northern part of that bridge. Is that eventually going to connect to trails or?
That's okay. Howard Franklin Bridge, connectivity, pedestrian connectivity on the trail. So the answer is yes. That we're actually building a trail on Rio Street, which connects to the park there. And then on the other side of the park, we have the trail that goes across the Courtney Campbell Causeway Bridge. And then on the west side, we're connecting via 4th and via Ulmerton to existing trail systems. So yeah, that Howard Franklin Bridge trail connection is really like the backbone to cross the bay and to connect both to the Pinellas Trail, which is part of the Coast to Coast Trail Network, and the Courtney Campbell Trail. So good question, but yes. And then eventually, I like this. This is something we don't get to talk about very much, which is the trail connectivity. So the trail map that we're going to send to him on the DTI eventually actually connects to the trail network that we're building with West Shore, the West Shore Interchange Project, which connects to the Howard Franklin Bridge Trail Network. So eventually, actually, I guess I could say, like, depending on where the rays go, but I wouldn't say that. You would be able to honestly here from Tampa Heights, like, get on the trail, and you could ride all the way to downtown St. Pete. You could ride all the way to Titusville. Like you would have your choice of like where you want to go based on which connection you take. And that connection will extend all the way to East Tampa, and it'll extend north with the Green Artery. So it's a cool thing. Like, it's been planned for a long time. It's something I kind of nerd out about. But anyway, it's a really cool thing. And there's a lot of cool things planned around that trail. In the West Shore area, actually, we proposed to the city, we had to buy a parcel for the West Shore interchange for a ramp, but we only needed part of the property, but it impacted the building, so we had to buy the whole building. So we've actually proposed the city of Tampa to turn that into a trailhead, like park there, get on, make it a natural trailhead, get on the trail and go across. And then we've talked also to city of Tampa about doing something like that closer to downtown as well. Sure.
Interchange. That actually budgeted more money than the bridge, the Howard Huntington Bridge.
So the question is, was the interchange for the airport a larger budget than the Howard Franklin Bridge? So the answer is the West Shore interchange, which is more than just the airport exit, is a larger budget than the bridge. The delta is, I believe, the Howard Franklin Bridge, all said and done, is going to be right at 900 million, like all said and done. The West Shore interchange project is like 1.2 billion. So yeah, it is bigger, but it's a bigger project and a lot more material. Like if you saw the concrete and asphalt numbers, it's significantly more. The Howard Franklin Bridge definitely is more expensive per lane, per whatever, just because it's a bridge.
Jimmy?
Yeah, you know. And, in the city, there's a missing gap. Basically, the trail goes around the whole perimeter, except one gap, from 7th Avenue down to 30 Harbor. Right along where the new apartments are being built.
Yeah.
And GTE, right there. So there's just no reason why that gap can't be completed. DOT said, talk to the city, I've talked to them, talk to DOT.
Gotta love that.
DOT also said that you own land that apartment complexes, but not the area where GTP is.
That's correct.
That is correct.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that it's not that big of a distance to make a bridge that gap. And I can't imagine they have any problem with that all, improving connectivity. It's outside of their wall. And even if they won't allow it for whatever reason, you could go under the interstate right there. And where they could raise it up and on piers, so it could dive in to finish that connection. It's just mind-boggling to me that that's not part of the plan.
So the question was the connectivity between Perry Harbor Park up to 7th, in the area where GT is. That's the southeast quadrant of the interchange. So I'll tell you, your mind may be blown about how difficult a property owner would be for the DOT to build anything in the right of way. And just from experience, I'm working on about a $15 million right of way price tag to put a sidewalk on a road, a very short sidewalk, actually shorter than what you're talking about in the West Shore area. So don't underestimate the power of corporate attorneys. Now on the flip side, tucking it under the interstate, I need to look into that, and we can look at that. I'm not that familiar with that area to be able to tell you yes or no, but I will tell you, I mean, I doubt GTE would just be like, here DOT, put a sidewalk in, just because of what comes along with that, the precedent and everything.
It's a area and safe. So if there's anything that we can do to have that spot under the interstate there, I accept it.
The only thing that's throwing me off there, and I'm just geographically, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. There's a new development that's going in just north of GTE, and they're building a new access road through there, and they're tucking under the interstate. Yeah, Henderson. So I'd have to kind of see like how their alignment would affect possibly putting a trail connectivity through there. And that's the only reason why I'm just saying I've got to look more at it, because I know that they're not doing their original alignment. Now they are actually crossing the LA right of way to do their connection, based on feedback from the fire department and some others. So I'll just have to take a look at that and see how that impacts that. But we will get you an answer on that. It doesn't have to be DOT, city, DOT. We can get you an answer on that. Even if we've got to drag the city into a meeting with us, we'll do that in a nice way.
We need to bring this in for a landing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just have one thing I want to ask you to do, and I did this the last time you were here. Could you check out the situation with the chicanes on Central between Columbus and the park? Those things are horrendous. They're not getting any better. And now we have the chicanes and we have those lovely barrels and they've been there for months. I don't understand it.
So
Please.
So hopefully you can be heard here. So yeah, we the chicanes at Elmore, we've talked to the city about it. That's a city project. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
No, wait. I think he's talking about at Elmore near the interstate.
No, I'm talking.
Oh. Oh, Central. Yeah, yeah, so I apologize. I thought you were talking about the pork chops there at Elmore. I was like,
Those are fine.
yeah.
Talking about Central
There's a lot of barrels there too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were going to paint them. That was based on feedback from, I think it was your feedback from the last meeting, and
Yeah.
we gave instruction to the property or to the contractor to do that. And I'll tell you one thing too that did come out of the last meeting, and she's not here today. I was hoping she'd be here just to see kind of her reaction. But last meeting we had a couple property owners that were talking,
Hey,
yeah, and they were talking about driveway access. There were some driveways that were damaged, and not due to the contractor, just over time. And I think the city was giving them a little hard time about them replacing their driveways because of the age of the driveways, et cetera. So we actually, at our cost, replaced the driveways. So
yeah,
just
that was faithful.
yeah,
You
right.
were out there right after the meeting.
I did. I told them I'd meet them out there. I met them out there.
Okay. And so you're going to paint the chicanes? Is that what you're telling us? Paint them how? What are they going to do?
Add color to them. I think we had gotten that feedback from a couple of the property owners last time was,
And get rid of the barrels? That's the point.
yeah, the barrels will go away.
Are the lanes supposed to be restriped?
I think if they haven't striped them yet, they should.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The striping will.
That's it. That's all I
I
got.
mean,
Thank you
yes,
so
sir.
much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all so much for hanging in. We really aren't late, but I know it was a long meeting and we covered a lot of material. I was handed a letter at the beginning of our announcements earlier and did not tell you what it was about because I had no clue. So just real quick, this is a letter from the city of Tampa. It references the Florida Avenue water main improvements, phase 1 from Scott Street to Palm Avenue. I'll just read you the first paragraph. City of Tampa will begin the Florida Avenue water main improvement project. If you could, please just hold up a second on the discussion in the audience. The city of Tampa will begin the Florida Avenue water main improvement project in your neighborhood in August of 2025. This project will consist of installing approximately 2,700 linear feet of water main along Florida Avenue between Scott Street and Palm Avenue. The project's goal is to improve water pressure, water quality, and reduce the number of service interruptions. The work is expected to take approximately 11 months and is scheduled to be completed on or before July 31 of 2026. If you need more information about that, we can certainly get you the point of contact. If you live along that stretch, it's probably going to impact your life in some way, but just know the project is supposed to start next month. That's all I got. Is anything for the good of the order? No? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.